Hi, this is Rachel Goclawski, Cooking with Mrs. G, and today we're going to stuff dumplings with wild edibles, seasonal wild edibles that we're finding here at the end of May in Massachusetts. And this is a mushroom you can find all throughout May and into June. This is Dryad Saddle, and you may have seen me do a dumpling video with the Mother Zen show this winter, and that is because a couple of these items are easily freezable, and then you can, like the example, this stinging nettle, you can prepare this and then freeze it and enjoy this incredibly nutritious wild edible all through the year. So the difference with this video is that we're actually going to show you how to go out in the field and harvest stinging nettle, find and harvest this Dryad Saddle, and then also this Black Locust Flower. So you're going to get tips and tricks on how to forage, then prepare these, and then to make the dumplings all throughout this video. If you're interested in the Mother Zen show, that information is in the description of this video. And then you'll also be enjoying some music from composer Rob Ieva, and that composer's information will also be in the description of this video. So let's head out into the forest and collect our wild food. You're gonna forage some Black Locust Flower. Not only do they smell amazing and are used in perfume making, they have an incredibly large amount of culinary uses. As you can see, one of the key identifiers here is that you have large clusters of white hanging flowers that look like pea flowers, and that's because it is in the pea family. To harvest this, we would just take off the whole bract, take it home and in a plastic bag and keep it in the fridge. These do taste amazing raw in salads, but you can also put them in fritters, and we're going to use them in dumplings. So let's look at some other key identifiers. So as you can see, there's a compound leaf, and on the compound leaf there's several leaflets. They're ovate leaflets. So another key identifier is alternate branching pattern. You can see that these compound leaves and branches are coming off in an alternate pattern, and there's some little teeny thorns. The honey locust is a look-alike, and it also has white flowers, but they're not as showy and they don't come in these large clusters of white flowers. And also the thorns on a honey locust are much, much more prominent. So a tip on foraging these guys, you want to get them when they're just open, when they smell wonderful and the fragrance is fresh and gardenia-like. Not when they're starting to droop and turn brown and falling off easily, like this one is, and the smell isn't as wonderful. So you've got maybe only like a 2-day window when these start opening on a tree to collect them, and before they're past prime and they're not useful. So you got to catch them real quick. Here's a bunch more Dryad Saddle in different stages of maturity. And these here. These are pretty young. And this one here is just past the pig nose stage. It's very young and tender. This one here too will be delicious. We're going to probably put them in dumplings or spring rolls tonight. This one is pretty mature. This one here is not very good eating, maybe for drying and powdering and using the powder for cooking. When stinging nettle is still young and unflowering like this and under a foot, you can take the upper part of the plant and take quite a bit of the plant like that much. But when it's starting to make tips like this, you don't take anything but the tip because it's absorbed nitrates from the soil and it's very bitter, so you just literally pop off the tip like this, and that's all you take. Edibility wise, if you're going to do the medicinal properties, like to make teas and things, you wait actually until it gets more mature and then dry it for tea. So you can use any type of mushrooms you like, wild or otherwise, in this recipe, any type of onions or garlic. When you're sauteing your mushrooms, usually one side for 5 minutes and the other side for 3 minutes to 5 minutes, depending on when they're crunchy and tender. Now, the flowers, any type of wildflower, edible flower, you can use nasturtiums. We just don't want to overcook these, so that's why we're putting it on low just until they wilt and then taking them off the heat. Just stop for a second so you can see how they're wilted. So for our stinging nettles, we're going to use 2 medium-sized balls, about a medium-sized meatball sized balls of stinging nettles, and we're going to blend them either in a food processor or in a really good blender with what we sauteed. So the saute mixture and the nettles will get all blended together, and then they'll be easier to fit inside our dumplings. So here we have our finished dumpling stuffing, and you'll notice that I only used a small portion of the nettles that I had on the table. I only used 2 balls, and that's because nettle can be pretty overpowering in flavor, and it will overpower the flavor of the just tangy, delicious mushrooms we had in there. Dryad Saddle's just got like a tang to it. It's wonderful. So we're going to make our dumplings now, and you only need like a small amount of the filling for each dumpling. Here's the dumpling dough. Now, you can use a dumpling press, or you can squeeze the dumplings together. This is the difference that it will look over here. This is if you squeeze it yourself and you're not very good at it, like me, even though Mother Zen taught me. And here is what it looks like if you use a dumpling press. The key is to make sure that this seals, because when you start cooking them and it opens up, you'll lose your filling. So in order for it to seal, I have some warm water, and I'm going to put that warm water all over where the seal is going to happen, around the edge of the dough. Okay, then I'm going to take a small amount of the filling and make a little meatball. Put that right in the center of the dumpling press. And then kind of keep it tucked in while you close it. You're going to want to have that firmly shut. And let that water kind of help you make that seal. And there you've got a dumpling. So if it looks like there's going to be a problem area, you can always fold that over. Kind of pinch it. Use a little bit more water. Pinch that shut. And lay it flat. Make sure your seal is good to go. And a little bit more water and make sure that's really, really sealed shut. We have our dumplings, some of them folded traditionally, some with the dumpling press. We'll see how well they hold their filling. So I'm going to put in a few at a time into the boiling water. Boil for 2 to 3 minutes. In 2 to 3 minutes. And you can see all of our dumplings are floating. So I'll start taking them out. At this point, if you like pan-fried dumplings, you could stick them on a pan and pan-fry them for a few minutes just to get a little brown on the bottom. But you can just eat them this way. Let's take a look inside. Awesome. So I had put a little bit more garlic salt in when I had blended these up because the stinging nettle had no seasoning. And so it's just enough to, like, you know, salt it a little bit more, and that seasoning is delicious. We've been eating these, and let me tell you, the tangy flavor of those Dryad Saddle mushrooms mixed together with the sweet pea flavor of the flowers and the nice nutty vegetable flavor of the stinging nettle. It's just a chorus of different wild food flavors going on inside these dumplings. They're delicious. I'm going to try to put a recipe in the description of this. But again, this is Rachel Goclawski, Cooking with Mrs. G. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Etsy, and of course, YouTube. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Happy foraging!